Hi everyone, welcome to 12 Mile Creek family. I just want to give you a little history of why we live where we live and why we live off grid. Some years ago, let's see, let me get my dates right. 2020, 2017, we lived on a couple of acres by a highway. It was a repo that we had bought and planned to resell and make some money. And so one day when my husband Cornelius was off at work, he was build log homes. He'd be gone for a week at a time. My mom and I saw this place for sale and went for a little drive. It was vacant, empty. It had the gazebo, one little old cabin, another cabin that was just rotting away. 20 acres with this creek running through it. So when my husband got back home, I immediately brought him out here to take a look at it. And long story short, we bought it in the fall of 2017. After watching my video, I realized I better pop back on here and give you guys some clarification. I explained how we bought this property, but I forgot to say why. Honestly, we were never really looking for off-grid property. We were just looking for a property to get back out into the woods and creation like we used to. So this place actually was just the right price, 20 acres, and water. Water, when you are out in the Northwest, water is a very important commodity. It's not always easy to find on your properties. I know in the East, there seems to be creeks, ponds, rivers all over the place. But out here in the Northwest, it's not as easy to find water. So the creek was a real asset to us. And the fact that it was off-grid didn't deter us, as you realize, because we bought it twice. That's how we ended up here, why we bought the property, and then we just learned about the off-grid and how it works. This place thankfully came with, like I showed in the previous video, some original solar equipment, which helped us get started right off the bat. Another thing is Cornelius was Amish, grew up Amish, so, you know, a more simple lifestyle. We're used to that. I grew up on a farm, simple lifestyle, and later I met Cornelius. I did not grow up Amish, but met Cornelius and joined the Amish so I could get married to him. So that is a little bit of our background, so I better sign off here because little Jasmine wants back on the floor, I guess. Jasmine, are you being a good girl? Love you, Jazzy. Yes, I love you. If you want to hang around towards the end of this video, I am going to be making a little yogurt today. If you're interested in that, you're welcome to hang around to the end and see how it goes. In that spring, 2018, we moved out here. We camped out in some motorhomes, tents, and in that little cabin by the creek. Now my parents also moved out here with us. So that was wonderful. Mom teased us a lot. She said she was the first one to actually sleep out here. They also had a camper. So they camped here actually right close to where I'm sitting with their motorhome. They eventually bought a garage. It was like, you know, one of those mini barns that you have, but it's actually a garage. It is the home that we are actually living in right now. They had it down here by the creek, and we had a single wide. We got a single wide in, and our two youngest, Cornelius and I, lived in the single wide, and the other kids lived in some of the other trailers, dry cabins at that time. In 2018, 2019, 2020, COVID came. We got to stay here for 2 whole weeks and just enjoy life. Cornel got my garden in at that time, and our little footbridge that I showed you in another video. Then in 2021, my mom got sick with cancer and passed in August of 2021. And so that fall, a home came for sale about 22 miles from here that my husband had his eye on for quite some time. We know the people who built it years ago. His sister is married to one of the boys that used to live in that log home. So we sold this place and moved there in the October of 2021. Sold this place here on the creek to a really nice young couple. Well, it was really nice to be all together in one big house. There's 5 bedrooms, 3 stories, within walking distance of a lot of our family and friends. Like I said, about 22 miles from this location. And right next door to our church and our little private school. Anyways, it was really nice, but I really missed this place. I had put down my roots here. This was my home. This is where I could go outside and just be connected to God's nature, be here by the creek. I prayed about it. I actually prayed that the young couple that bought this would want to sell it again. I didn't want to take it from them because I knew they probably enjoyed it as much as I did. But in that time, they sold the single wide and moved Mom and Dad's house up to the location it is at now. That's why I say where it used to be, or Mom and Dad's house, I make those references. So in the February of 2024, my date's right, we got a message from that young couple saying, hey, we're going to move. Do you want to buy the place back? We were out here within a couple hours making a deal to purchase it. Brianna was riding a horse with a friend at that time. So when we left our log home to drive out here, we saw Brianna with her friend and told her what we were doing. And her first words were, Daddy, go buy it. So we sold that log home and moved out here in June in 2024. So we're back here to our beloved property. So now you kind of get long story short of things that, if I refer to, used to be when we lived here before. So it is just wonderful to be back. The dogs are just so happy. They love to run around. They knew they were home. They get out of the truck and you could see it in their eyes that they were back home along with the rest of us. So there's the long story short. Thanks for watching. If you want to hear more about our life here, be sure to subscribe. Feel free to share it as much as you like. My goal for this channel is not necessarily a how to live off grid, but more realistically what it's like to live off grid and have a farm. You will see not everything's going to be perfect. Not all the editing is going to be perfect. The house is not always going to be clean. I did a video the other day and forgot I had my jammies on. So that's the way it goes. So if you enjoy those kind of videos, real life, off-grid, homestead, lots of horse riding and dogs, feel free to subscribe and share. Hi, so I got my materials here. Trevette is over there off camera working on his ski boots and getting them fixed. So that's all my background noise you hear. So I'm going to, this is the recipe. Made by my dear friend. She is an Amish lady and they have, well, they're a family of 15. She has 13 kids. And so I figure it's pretty good. I've been making this recipe for quite a few years. And so I'm just going to get started and then I will give you a zoom up of the recipe, of course. So I'm warming up the milk to 190 and soaking 2 tablespoons of gelatin in a half a cup of water. Then I'm going to assemble the other things. I am doing only a half a gallon because I don't have that much goat's milk to do a full gallon. So I'm going to be doing half the recipe, except for the gelatin. I always do the full 2 tablespoons. And if I was doing a gallon, I'd do 3 tablespoons just because that's the way we personally like the texture. Four to 6 tablespoons of yogurt. I just throw it in. Oh, I didn't have the yogurt either. I usually don't bother. Trevette, did you give Comanche and Dixon their grain? Do they still have hay?
Yep.
Good. The recipe says to beat this with an egg beater in the water, milk. Sorry, Legends name distracted me. But I usually don't beat it with an egg beater. I just make sure this is well mixed and let it soak while the milk, the goat's milk, is heating up. It's at about 125 right now. Heats up kind of quickly. So we'll just wait here. I believe I got everything assembled, ready to go. And then we add just the gelatin when it's at 190. We'll cool it off to 130, and then add this. Okay, it is at 190, and if you've been watching the clock, it only took a few minutes. But I cleaned up a few things and made myself a cup of green tea. It's actually this Herbalife green tea that we really like, raspberry. So now we add the gelatin. The hot milk will melt it. So that's why I just do it this way. Just stirring it in well. And now set it back over here and wait for it to cool to 130. Then we will add the yogurt and stuff. Meantime, that can take a while. I just stir it once in a while and keep checking it, but it could easily take 20 minutes. So, and you don't want to sit here and watch me do that for 20 minutes. So I'll pause it. Yes, it's been about 20 minutes and cooled off. Actually a little more, probably 126, something like that. So now I'm just going to add all my sugar and yogurt and vanilla. And yes, that's still back there trying to figure out how to assemble his ski boots. Two little short, are they short skis, Trevette?
Yeah, the ski skates.
Ski skates that his sister gave him. He's been asking YouTube, but it's not being much help. I guess YouTube doesn't know everything. I don't like to beat it up too much because it gets bubbles on top. Then as it sits, it's a little more airy, and we like it a little more solid. I'm just going to take a minute here and make sure it's well mixed. Now I pour it into some of my containers. I need to get my funnel. You can put it in any container you want. You can even leave it in the pan if you want. And eat right out of the pan. Saves dirty dishes. I'm gonna have to find another container. And turn the oven on. The best way to do this is with a propane oven that has a pilot. That is what I prefer. This does not have a pilot. So basically, if you just put it in your oven and you have a pilot, it keeps it warm and cures it rarely, helps it cure, I guess the word. Or you can also warm up your oven if you have an electric oven and then turn it off, warm it up to 100 or 2. Turn it off and turn on the light. You have the oven light on and then set this in there. It helps it too.
let it sit. I let it sit 8 hours, 6 hours. I'll just put it in the fridge before I go to bed. It's a little afternoon today. But this does not have an oven light, and it does not have a pilot light. So I turn it on, I warm it up, and then I put it in and just let it sit in there, and then I'll probably do it one more time in a few 2 or 3 hours, warm up the oven. Okay, so I'm gonna get some containers. Make sure I don't have any pans in the oven.
Hey, see, I want to go skating.
All right, Trevette. I should have been warming this up while I was letting it cool, but forgot. Trevette is actually supposed to be doing school, but he informed me that he knows after school he has to do chores, so he's going to do his skis now, so that anyways, boy logic. So there we go. That's a half a gallon of milk. Oven is warming up. I'll put it in there, like I said, 6-8 hours. Put it in the fridge at bedtime, and tomorrow we'll have yogurt. Sits in a day. If it sits 2 days in the fridge, it's a little better, but we usually don't wait. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it was helpful. They work?
Oh, yeah.
Did you finally find a YouTube video that helped you just
No.
how to assemble?
No.
So how'd you figure it out?
Trial and error. That's how.
All right, so you now need to get them off and do school.
No.
Yep. Then you can go back out. Try them tonight when Virginia's home. Brianna's home.
There's not that much snow.